Welcome back to the Lost Cause Ranch. We have quite the setup going on here. Once again, the budget LR4 putting in work, and we're currently hauling this nifty little trailer that lays completely flat on the ground, and we are a couple hundred miles into what is going to turn out to be a 700-mile journey to grab something, in my opinion, pretty freaking cool. Let's get back on the road. Now, we always seem to get ourselves involved in some interesting ordeals here at the ranch, and this one isn't any different. So buying this thing on Facebook Marketplace, it's obviously a ways away. I was trying to line this up to pick it up after the whole cannonball, rover ball run, which was originally fine, but then we got these two messages. So the thing we're picking up was owned by a brother and sister, and they are dissolving their business. And by the looks of it, guy isn't really too fond of his sister's mom. And I apparently need to go get this thing real quick before he ends up in jail. So I think this is gonna turn into an all-night ordeal with us getting home at 3:30 in the morning. Like every good Joe road trip, we got to end up at a Walmart, but we have the thing, and I sure do get myself into some shit some days. But we left that place, came here to make sure I have it strapped down right. I tried to get out of there as quick as possible. I'll tell you that story once we get home, but I'm about 3 hours behind. That whole deal took way longer than I was expecting. I need to get on the road. I'm not gonna sleep tonight. I 100% didn't expect to still be driving when the sun came up, but here we are, 16 hours into our 11-hour trip. Now that guy is pretty freaking slick. I can 100% say that we for sure would not have gotten this thing loaded out of that mess that was going on there without it. Now I just need to figure out how to finagle this thing back off the trailer. See, my main problem right now is the pallet jack is on the wrong side of it, and I'm also going on 0 sleep, which doesn't help. Need something there. Well, maybe I can catch that. See, I really want the thing to come back off because it's heavier in the back. But how I'm going to do that, I'm not quite sure. Guess if I dump it, at least it's on camera. All right, we got somewhere. You know, of course, with my great driving, we're gonna cut it close. This is the last time. Guarantee. And we're in. Now this trailer is quite possibly one of the coolest things I've ever used. The tech lays completely freaking flat. It does look a tad ridiculous behind the LR4 though. It is a full foot wider on each side. We were pretty much a big rig. We'll rip the plastic off it here in just a second, but I have to go drop the trailer back off because we are now 18 hours into what I thought was gonna take 11. Then I might get some sleep. So we're back after a little bit of a rest. I'm getting too old to pull all-nighters. It just doesn't seem to work out as well as it did 15 years ago. We'll get this guy unwrapped and kind of explain why it turned into an all-nighter. And if you haven't figured out what it is yet, it's a CNC lathe. This wasn't exactly in the grand plan with getting the car wash, but it is a byproduct of it. You see, I have another piece of equipment coming, and any of you guys who play around on Facebook Marketplace know that the algorithm can suck you in. This guy just happened to pop up and pique my interest. So I've had some interesting internet marketplace dealings over the years, and this guy was no exception. So this little Tormach popped up and it was listed for more than $27,000 less than you can buy it currently. $24,000 less than what the gentleman purchased it for just 3 years ago. But as always, there's kind of a reason. This thing has lived a life in just 3 years. Like the fact that this is supposed to be there. Let me fix that real quick. Door doesn't like that. What do we got? There we go. Much better. Handle's a little loose still though. Why not? I mean, we can definitely say the guy got some frickin' use out of this thing. While I've been browsing some CNC equipment, I've noticed there's about 2 conditions. There is the immaculate, well-kept, always clean versions, because machining does kind of attract that type of person. And then you got this, the good old rode hard and put away wet. And as you guys have probably noticed over the years, I kind of like to acquire the old rode hard, put away wet type of stuff, hence the name, Lost Cause. But this thing would have been probably triple the price had it been clean. See, I have no business playing with a CNC lathe, and even though the Tormach is kind of an entry-level unit, it is well beyond my current capabilities. And in my mind, at $35,000, I probably wouldn't be able to use it to make any real money. But at what we got it for, I think we should be able to make some fun stuff with it and not lose our behind while doing it. So setting off, I thought this was gonna be like a 12, 13-hour trip. 5.5 hours each way. The guy said it was easily loaded with a pallet jack that he had. So half hour there, half hour for fuel stops and food. We'd be back home around 1 o'clock in the morning. Well, I get there and this thing is buried in what I would consider a 3/4 car garage behind a bunch of motorcycles on motorcycle lifts, stuff scattered everywhere, shavings all over the ground, you know, not conducive to rolling a 2,000-pound item out with a pallet jack. And on top of that, it was somewhat of a hostile situation because I show up and what I think is the other business partner's kid, who was 20-ish years old, asked me what the heck I'm doing there. I just refer him to the other guy. Then throughout the entire time I was there, the other business partner was texting and calling this gentleman, and it didn't sound like it was very friendly. So I proceeded to spend the next 3.5 hours digging this thing out. And to add to that, the alley that accessed the garage was a half car wide, made of gravel and grass. So I had to jockey that massive lay flat trailer onto the garage slab because, once again, a pallet jack with a 2,000-pound item does not roll on gravel and grass. He left it where it sat, hooked up, so I could see it run, which I appreciate very much. But my whole thoughts on the situation is, if you are trying to get this out as quick as possible in a tense situation, you probably should have had at least a path cleared. But in some good news, I also experienced what was probably one of the funnier things I've ever heard. Another kid of the other party that owned this showed up, and he walks up to the guy I'm buying this off of and says, "Every day that ends in Y." That's all he says. And the guy's like, "What?" The kid then says, "You're an asshole. Every day that ends in Y," and walks into the house. That's all he said. I really would have loved to film that whole thing, but I thought it probably wasn't appropriate, and I wasn't even gonna ask, so sorry you missed it. But either way, 3.5, 4 hours of extra time. We got this guy loaded on there. It was a lot of bit of work. Good thing I brought a pallet jack because his pallet jack was buried under other stuff. Probably would have added another couple hours. But nonetheless, my little Tormach is safe and sound in Iowa, and we made it out alive. I mean, I never actually feared for my safety at all. I just didn't want to be in the middle of that situation any longer than I had to be. But on a positive note, we just proved out another 700 miles on the LR4 towing stuff with that custom little hitch we made. 4,500-pound trailer, 2,000-pound machine. I freaking love them things. I mean, when we showed up, it just wasn't a very well organized situation. The only picture I grabbed was of all the tooling, just tossed in as you can see. But thankfully, we did get a fair amount of stuff with it. We have the majority of our control set up here, our main computer there, a little bit of tooling. That is a lot of it used up. I mean, freaking rough on equipment here. But it did come with this, and we'll explain that in just a bit. This is gonna be pretty freaking awesome. And hopefully I was able to grab everything that belongs to it, because if I missed it, I don't think there's a chance I'm getting it. But let's see if we can get this guy a little nicer looking. Thankfully, I think this guy left several $1,000s on the table with just 10 minutes in a shop vac, and potentially even more after we do a little more deep clean. I'm gonna pull some panels off. So I think these are kind of glued in at the moment, so they might stay there for now. We didn't spend a boatload of time just yet, but man, I think a half hour of wiping it down made quite a bit of difference to the overall appearance. For something that made a bunch of parts for a few years, it doesn't actually look all that bad. It actually looks like we got something now. Cleaned up all the surface rust off the ways that we could reach, got most of the chips out, but I think it's time to try and reassemble this thing. I disassembled it in haste. Maybe it'll work again. This was kind of a little bit cumbersome. Suppose I should probably hook this up in case anything goes really awry. That way we can quickly shut things down. So this plug doesn't match the only 220 plug I have in the car wash at the moment. So just like any project, we have to make a trip to our favorite place. And after the Rover ball, we really need to sort out some electrical in here because we got more power hungry stuff coming. Quick trip to Menards, got what we needed. And in some Freelander news, big shocker. But we do have 145 miles on it. We'll have an update on this situation in a couple days. We're also leaving in a couple days. All right, here goes nothing. Don't know exactly what I'm doing here, but I think we'll go maybe that. Huh? Machine's on. I think we might have something here. I'll go hit reset here, see what that does. Ooh. Well, by golly. Looks like it still works. I did a thing. It moves. We're gonna shut this. Let's see if it goes. Now that is freaking cool. Let's see if I can do this with the door open. I'll have to manually close those switches. I don't know if I have long enough arms. We have ourselves some working technology. Man, this thing is going to be a load of fun. The cool thing about Tormach is they got a pretty user-friendly conversational programming stuff. And that is where an idiot like me can just go in and design something right on the controller. So we can do our diameter and stuff right here. Inside, face it off. We can put a chamfer on it. We can groove it, we can drill and tap an inside hole, and we can thread the outside, all from this machine, and make ourselves some simple parts like this right on the machine without having to design it on a CAD program. I think that's gonna come in handy. But the real reason why I jumped after this guy is right here. This is an automatic collet closer, and this is a collet. So we can take this chuck off, put that guy in there, and then what we can do with this collet closer and this bar puller I mentioned earlier is get ourselves a little bit of simple automation. What we can do is put this on the turret here, and we can use all our fancy tools, make a part, then program this bar puller to swing down and grab the end of the bar that we have fed in here. Then this guy will unlock and loosen its clamp on that bar. Then with these little grippers, we can then slide that bar further out to whatever predetermined length. This guy will clamp back down, this guy will let go, and then we can make another part, and we can repeat that infinitely or until we run out of bar sticking out of the end of this guy. So say we have something like a 12-foot bar and we're making 1-inch parts, we could theoretically bust out 144 parts without us even touching the machine. It would just take care of everything. So say Joe needs 1/8-inch NPT aluminum weld bungs to add a sensor to the intake on the LS Swap Defender. We could click go and make 144 of them, you know, so we have some extras in case we screw some up. But with that being said, I appreciate you guys watching, appreciate you subscribing. I am super happy to have a functioning CNC lathe in here. I mean, this isn't where it's gonna go. It's gonna go to the metal fab side, but this is where we're gonna leave off. I have to go get a Freelander sorted. We're leaving to drive across the country in like 5 days. So we will catch you on the next one, which will be an update on the Freelander before we take off. So we will see you in a couple days. Stay tuned for some fun stuff getting made around here.